Everybody, so into my channel I have 4 5 different videos on SQL projects. So and thanks a lot for sharing love onto all of those videos. I hope it is helping you a lot into your analytics journey. Here I'm back with a new video onto the SQL project, but this particular video will be quite different than all the other previous videos which I have into my channel. How it is different? Because into this video we'll be walking through a real application. We'll be getting an idea about how does the data or the user, the steps or the journey a user takes through an application, how it affects the data which is getting ingested into the backend tables or the backend databases. So you will get a complete overview through a real application. We'll be doing the data exploration tasks through the SQL and getting an overview of the application, understanding the different data points involved, and later on we'll be creating the Power BI project, also a Power BI dashboard also onto the exploration which we have done, which is the application onto which we'll be exploring our data. So it is a Namma Yatri application. So the application is called as Namma Yatri. So similarly to like Ola, Uber, this is an application which is currently run in Karnataka, mainly in Bangalore and Mysore, and it is pretty much new because the drivers, they are willing to take much more rides onto the Namma Yatri application as compared to Ola and Uber. So this information will not help you in any way, just a general information I am giving you. The application does not charge a subscription fee from the drivers and zero commission onto this platform. So this was about the Namma Yatri application. And if you go to the website of the Namma Yatri application, you will see a dashboard. So they have a real-time dashboard, real-time charts, real-time numbers onto their website on how many drivers are active, how many trips are happening, how much the drivers they have earned, and into which area. So there are different data points which are present onto their dashboard, which they are having onto the website. So I'll just stick the dashboard here onto your screen so that it is very much easy for you to understand. So friend, just imagine this is a project which we are doing onto a very real kind of thing. So I have a data ready here, I have my tables ready here. We'll be exploring the data around this, we'll be getting understanding the data into much more better way, the data exploration task, and later on we'll be creating exactly the same dashboard using the Power BI. Just think how realistic this video or this project gonna be. Something which is running and which is have been implemented by some good companies, and they are running, and you're implementing or that into a kind of project onto your portfolio. So just imagine how fruitful this video gonna be. And the most demanded thing onto my channel was, Ashutosh, so you are giving an overview, or you are giving different projects to us, how do we show this to our recruiters? So the wait is over. I'll be also be making a part into this the same video where I'll be showing you how to create your free portfolio website using AI. Stick around, hang around into this series. With this series will be around of 3 4 videos. So few videos will be on data exploration, few videos will be on the Power BI dashboards which we'll be creating. We'll be understanding the application into a much deeper level, on from a customer perspective. We'll be understanding the application. Before moving forward, I would like to give a brief overview of the Namma Yatri applications. Familiar with the tables and the data which I'll be having later on into this video. So I'll give a quick walkthrough of the Namma Yatri application so that it is easy for you to understand the kind of data I am having and how each and every point into the application the user takes, each and every action the user is taking, how the data gets recorded into the backend, and that helps us to analyze further and to take data driven decisions. So I would just quickly give a walkthrough of how the Namma Yatri application works, the different touch points into the application, and while I'll be displaying my data which I'm having, which I've prepared later on into this video, you'll get an understanding like the action which was taken by the customer at this particular time or this moment. This was recorded in this column or this particular row. It will be very easy for you to understand. So I have the Namma Yatri application opened onto my mobile. So the UI is quite simple. We need to give a pickup location, like from the location where we want to start our ride. So I'll just click on this, and let us select one of the pickup location here, and here onto where does the user wants to go. So let us select the another location here. So each and every point, each and every action which I'm taking, it is being recorded into the back end somehow, like what is the journey the user is taking upon. So after I have selected my from location and to location, I will get such kind of interface where I will have to give my confirm location, like whether I am okay to proceed further or not. So I'll be clicking onto this particular button here, confirm location. So it will start giving an estimate of how many rupees or how much fare it will be for this location. So you can see it is charging me from 91 rupees to 100 rupees. Please stick around this, because all these actions which I'm taking, a customer takes into the application, how does the data is getting recorded into the backend and how it helps into the analysis. So see, I've got an estimate of around 91 to 101 rupees. I will then click on the request ride button. So as soon as I click on this button, start searching for drivers who are willing to take me from this location to the location which I've searched for. And you can see it has searched also. I'll just cancel this as I don't require. So I'll just put here cancel ride. So each of the actions which I have taken into the application, I would just help you understand how these are getting recorded into the databases of the system. So friends, this was a quick overview of the application of Namma Yatri. Very sorry for the driver who has accepted the ride, but this was necessary. This process was necessary. This demo was necessary to show you and give an overview of the application. So let us quickly move to our tables which I'm having and the actions which I've taken here. You'll get a better clarity now what action is being recorded as to what into our databases. So let us quickly move to our tables. As you can see, I have opened the Namma Yatri dashboard onto my screen. So whatever data which I am having here, so I could not get the raw data, so I just created a dummy data as usual, and through the dummy data we'll be doing the data exploration task. We'll be trying to get all the data points which they have displayed here onto their dashboard, onto their website, and we'll be proceeding with that. So first of all, let us get to our Excel sheet where I have imported or got all the data points which are necessary for us to make the dashboard or to do the exploration task. So this is the very first sheet here available onto my screen. So what all you can see, so the data is quite simple in nature. So into the very first column I have the trip ID. Into the second column I have the fare method. So I can give the the fare amount using UPI, using cash, using any other way. So the fare method, you can see it is given into the integer form. I'll help you explain later on. The column C is the fare which have been charged for the trip ID. The column D is the location from, and the column E is the location to. If you remember, into the application while the walkthrough was happening, the application gave me the option to choose from where do I want to go till where I want to go. So the location from and the location to is the same information which I'm having. Now stick around. These numerical values, I will help you explain what are these. I have 5 different sheets available here, so each of the sheets has some information. Into the column F I have the driver ID, column G I have the customer ID, so which driver was assigned this trip and which customer took this particular trip. And into the column H I have the distance, and into the column I have the duration. So this is just a dummy data, so the numbers quite be very much vague in nature, but the important funda here is to understand the concepts, how things actually work into the industry, and get an overview through this project. So friends, this was the very first sheet here. I'll just go to the next sheet. I'll go to the payment sheet. So the second column which I was having here, the fare method, is coming from this table, which I'm having, and the first column I have the ID, and into the column B I have the method of the payment. So the payment can be done through cash, UPI, debit card, credit card. So all these payment instruments are marked through these particular IDs, and I have the IDs here of the fair method, not the the fair method written, like for example, the trip ID as 1, the fair method is 2. That means that it was paid through UPI. Similarly, the trip ID as 6, the fair method is 1. It means that it was paid through cash. So this is the information onto the column 2. And go to the third sheet, and this is one of the important sheets into this video, and I would like you to focus here, because every action which I've taken into the application, the data is being recorded into the backend tables. Now how it is being recorded? It is being recorded into somewhat of this way, so that it can help into the further analysis. So the column A is the trip ID, the column B is the searches. So friends, the number of searches which I have done, the searches, what do I mean? I mean that the number of locations which I put, like from which location I want to go to which location which I want to go. If the customer has taken this journey, like from which location to which location into the application, it will be marked as 1. So 1 means thing is true, like the column value is true, and 0 means the column value is false. Which if there's 0, that will mean the search did not take place for this trip ID. So okay, my bad. So 1 is true and 0 is false. So this is binary values which are present here. Searches which got estimate. So what does this mean? So if you remember into the application, while I've selected the from location and the to location, so the next step which a user needs to take is the app will show the how much amount will it charge for the duration or for the distance. So if the user has clicked on that button, it will be marked as 1 here into this column for this particular trip ID. It is 1. That means the user has put the from location and to location, and also he or she has also clicked on the search for estimate button or search for the fair button. Column here which is searches for codes. So this is nothing but I have got the fair estimate. Next step is searching for drivers. So I am now searching for drivers into my next section, and the codes is nothing but searching for drivers. So how many user, after seeing the fare, they took the decision whether they want to book from the Namma Yatri application or not? Because let's say the fare is quite high, I would not want to book through the application. I would rather take some local transport, or I would just go through some other means, but I would not take the Namma Yatri application. So this is a very important data point. Just understand from that point, like where at which point the customer is dropping a lot. We need to understand as a business, so that we can understand the pain point of the customer. So if the if the estimate is quite high, let's say I put my from and to location, I've got the estimate also, I've seen the fare, but the fare is too high for me, so I did not search for the codes, I did not search for the drivers, because the fare was too high for me. So that means that I need to change something or give offers to my customers, so they are willing to take the rides. So searches for codes means that for this trip ID, the customer, for trip ID as 1, the customer did the search for from which location to which location the customer wants to go. The search also got an estimate. The customer was willing to see the fair amount, what will be charged. Then the customer also was okay with the fair amount. Then customer also searched for drivers, and the next step was, did the customer got the driver or not, or whether this trip was assigned to a particular driver or not. So if it is 1, the searches got a code, which means the searches got a driver, and if it is 0, it means the searches did not get a driver, which is more likely to happen if you are in Bangalore, because you will spend a lot of your time wasting into all of these applications happens because the searches do not get codes here, the searches do not get drivers here assigned so quickly. So the next column here is the customer not cancelled. So if you just remember right now into the overview which I was giving of the Namma Yatri application, I cancelled my ride. So if the ride is cancelled by the customer, it is the information is being recorded into the column F. So you could just see there were too many options which were present there also, like the change of plans, or the fare was quite high, or the driver is not moving toward the pickup location. I would not go into too much details that because that is not not necessary here. We just want to get an overview or understand things, how things works into the industry. Similarly, if the driver also cancels the trip, so the information is getting marked here. So you can see the customer not cancelled, which is one, which is means true, the customer has not cancelled this order. Similarly, driver not cancelled, which means the driver has also not cancelled the order because it is marked as one. So if it's marked as 0, it means that the trip was cancelled by a particular customer. Let us see if there is a data with 0 here, and you can see this trip. Let's say the trip which the overview which I was giving was for trip ID as 1121. You can see the trip was cancelled by the customer. Somewhat like me, I cancelled the trip and the information is recorded likewise. So friends, this was the overview of column F. Column G, driver not cancelled. Similarly, if the trip is cancelled by the driver or not. And if you remember, if you have taken any trip, onto the screen they'll give a OTP, and you need to tell the driver the OTP to start the ride. So that information is also being captured, whether the OTP was entered by the driver or not into the system. And if the OTP was entered, it is marked as true, it is marked as 1 here. And after the trip is ending, whether the driver is ending the trip or not, so that information is also being captured here in the end ride column. So until and unless if the end ride is 1, we won't consider it as a successful trip or trip to be counted as whether the trip happened or not. The end ride should be 1. Just imagine the customer has to go through these touch points onto the application. Until and unless the very last touch point which the customer is taking is true or is 1, system won't understand that the trip happened in actual or not. So friends, this is the complete overview of the application. This sheet, it was very much necessary for me to spend time around this to help you explain, to get an overview for you, because all the exploration which we'll be doing and the dashboard also, if you would just quickly see, it is mostly based on the same data points. You can see the number of searches which happened, the number of completed trips, that means the number of one we are having into the end ride, the driver earning, the conversion rate, all these things which are being shown here will be getting from sheet only. So friends, we got an overview of the trip details, we got an overview of the trips. We got an overview of the payment also. If you see the Namma Yatri application, they have all these words which are present here. So I'll do one thing, I'll switch to assembly kind of thing. So you can see the state, or sorry, Bangalore is being divided into all of these assemblies, and the trips are being shown, or the data is being shown onto the assembly basis. So you can just consider it, the data has been grouped onto the assembly. So similarly, I have also created the assembly sheet where I have the assembly ID and the assembly name, and I'll be using this later on into my dashboard. Last sheet which I'm having is the duration. So into the column I, into the trip sheet, you can see the duration is there. So the trip happened was into which duration. See also here onto the Namma Yatri dashboard, the entire day is divided into sections into the hourly way. So I've also created a likewise thing where I have a duration table here where I have the duration ID and from which hour to which hour the duration is there for this particular ID. So if the trip happened in the duration ID as 20, that means the trip happened from 19 hours to 20 hours. That means that the trip happened into the night from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. somewhat. So this is a brief information of the data which I'm having, the tables which I'm having into this particular video. And as usual, I have a lot of different medium and advanced level problems for you guys to solve here so that it helps you to clear out all your concepts. So let us get back to our SQL Server Management Studio, and I have imported the same data set into the SSMS where we'll be exploring the data into much more better way. One more thing, there was a hell lot of confusion around into my previous videos, so it is very much easier for me to explain you the data into the Excel sheet, but I provide the codes as usual into each of my videos so that it is very easy for you to just copy paste the code from the description box and start playing around into your SQL Server. There is no need to get the Excel sheets. I have been getting a lot of different comments on where do I get the Excel sheet. Actually, there is no need to get the Excel sheet. Provide the code into the description box into each of my video, and that you can just copy and paste it into your SSMS or whichever SQL software you're using. Code ready here with me where I've imported exactly the same data set. I'll be attaching the code which I'm having into my into this video. I'll be attaching the code into the description box. Just copy the code from there, just paste it into your SSMS and just start with the video. No need to ask for Excel sheets. Oh, the very first question which I'm having here is it calculate the total number of trips which I'm having. So by the way, I'll just miss this point that this data is just for a single day, so you could just consider it to be for any of the day. So the trips which happened on any of the particular day, I just have the data. Let's say I have the data for around 1st of September 2023. The total number of trips which happened on 1st September, the total number of driver earnings on 1st September. So I have just the data for a single day, similarly to what Namma Yatri is also having. So it is also on the basis of the particular day on which the trips are happening. So you can see it is showing the data for today's date. So similarly, I've just have the data for a single day only. Let us move to our SSMS, and so the very first question, as usual, will slowly start to level up into our query. So we'll just start from the very easy problems and then gradually we'll move to the hard level problems. So the total number of trips which happened or which took place. So do we need to take into account the successful trips or the total number of trips which had the end ride as 1, or the total number of searches which has happened? So let us do one thing. Let us just calculate the total number of searches for trips which happened. So for this, which is the column which I'll be using, but before that, there's a minor difference into the trips table and the trip details table. I'll just execute these two tables. I'll do a count star here, and that will give a better picture onto what data is exactly present into both of these tables. So I'll just do a count star, and you can see into the trips table the total number of rows which is present is 983, and into the trips details table the total number of rows which is present is 2161. So what is the difference and how is the table different from each other? So definitely the columns which are present is different, that I know, but the number of rows are different. So I'll do one thing. I would just do a count star on trip details where end right is equal to 1. I'll just execute both of these, and you can see the numbers are matching. So I hope you've got an idea like what exactly is the data which is present into the trips table and into the trips details table. So trips details contains the information on all the searches happened, whether the trip got the driver or not, whether the customer canceled the trip, whether the customer searched for the fare estimate or not. We do not care about them. We just have whether any searches happened, the details will get recorded into the trips details table. So if I just go here and let us move to the last, so you can see the searches happened, but all of these are zero. That means all of these are false. That means this customer did not take all of these steps. So trips details table, we get the information on all the searches which took place for the trips, while into the trips table we just have the details on the trips that finally ended, or the driver ended the ride, and only for those trips we get these information. That also makes sense, correct? Because if the driver is not ending the ride and we do not know, like, the trip has ended successfully, there's no point in recording all of these data, because the trip was unsuccessful. Only for successful trips we are recording the data into the trips table. So I just wanted to give understanding on this. I hope the difference is clear now onto both of these table. I'll do one thing. Okay, so the total number of trips, so it is nothing but count of distinct trip ID details, because we just want to know a number of searches which happened for trips. So I'll just run this code. So you can see I've got here 2161. You can see I've given a distinct also. So let us just quickly see. Ideally, the primary key of this table, I've kept the trip ID, but let us just quickly see whether any duplicate values for the same trip ID is present or not. So how to, quickly check whether the table has duplicate values for the trip ID. So I'll do one thing. I'll do a select trip ID and I'll do a count of trip ID from trip details. I'll do a group by of trip ID. Let's do this. Let's do a limit 10 here. Or before that, and into the group, I would want to check whether there is a duplicate of the trip ID present or not. So I'll just do having count of trip ID greater than 1. Let's execute this code. So if there's any output which I am getting here, that means that there are certain trip IDs which have duplicate values. So you can see there are no duplicate of trip IDs which are present here. So the logic which I've applied here to check the trip IDs is something like I've taken the trip IDs and then I've grouped by on the basis of the trip ID only, and the number of count of the number of trip IDs which are present. So if it is greater than 1, just throw the value. You can just see there are no duplicate trip ID values present here. So we are pretty much safe. This is a primary key of the table, and we can later on utilize these to join with the other tables to get our data. The very major check which we should definitely do before we proceed with our data exploration task, because we don't want to duplicate our data later on. Move to the next problem which we are having here is the total number of drivers, total number of distinct drivers which are present here. So into which table do we have the driver details? So it's present into the trips table, count of distinct driver ID from trips. That's it. Let us execute this code. You can see I've got 30 and this is the right answer. So I'll just rename this column as total drivers.